let's see. Day 3, trial ladder. Right. We gotta watch this video like 8 more times. We gotta solve what's going on here in this, Okay, so if I'm remembering right, last time we... Right, because Meekins is currently a suspect in the second murder of the same detective. So he was on the stand. A lot of funky stuff going on. A lot of funky stuff. But we're just going to get to it. We're going to get through this. All right. February 24th, 12:14 p.m. District Court, courtroom number 9. We are making our rounds in the courthouse, by the way. I think in the most of the main cases, we were only in like rooms 1, 2, maybe 3. I didn't realize there were even 9 courtrooms. I suppose, though, with as much crime as this world claims to have, you probably need that many to get through every case in 3 days. Anyway. I like to hope, though, that they all have the same judge. He's just like... There's like a spinning panel, like it's Scooby-Doo. And he is just on, like, in every courtroom hearing facts, going, guilty, not guilty. And then he, like, pivots around. That's my assumption of how this works. You think it's like the Pokemon verse with Nurse Joy? They're all siblings and cousins? Oh, no, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. The court will now reconvene for the trial of Ms. Lana Skye. He just pulls the lever. Yeah, he's just... Sometimes he pulls the wrong lever and he goes to the wrong room, and it's like, pull the lever and he's in the break room. And he goes, guilty! And then, like, pulls it and moves on to the next one, and all the bailiffs continue eating their lunches like nothing happened, because it's just another Tuesday. Emma didn't come back. Oh, right, because we found out that, something from SL2. Right, it was that everything, like, came down to... Yeah, the Joe Dark killings. Okay. Allow me to call the next witness to the stand. The officer in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime. Please give us the music. Witness, please state your name and occupation. Me, partner. Oh, I'm just a man, same as you, wandering the trails of civilization. Occasionally helping the elderly cross intersections when needed. Yes, we get it. Oh, I know. You're a patrolman. He's an alcoholic. As for my name, if you listen hard enough, you can hear the howling wind calling it out. To be exact, it's Jake Marshall, Your Honor. Howling wind. I've never heard Edgeworth described that way before. No, I think Edgeworth is the howling wind. I think it absolutely is. I'm gonna be the howling wind laughing. Oh my goodness. I love Jake Marshall. He's so stupid, but so good. Oh, I hope he comes back later and isn't, like, secretly a criminal mastermind that's gonna go to jail and never be seen again or something. Now, Mr. Marshall, let me ask you something. You were in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day the crime took place. Is this correct? According to the papers, partner. What do you mean? A Desperados' soul is as boundless as the desert sands. No paper can sum it up. Oh, I love the, like, randomly inserted Spanish. Maybe it's best we get on with this quickly. Please share with us your testimony of the day of the crime. In plain old English. Alright there, partner. I'll give it to you in the West's English. The day of the crime. My job was to keep a wary eye on that bone orchard. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remember right, I was at a street side saloon at the time it went down. A saloon? He's got a problem. He's literally drinking when he's supposed to be at work. Oh no. I'm just an innocent traveling man. So if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail. I can't say I particularly care for your attitude. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Wait a minute. What do you mean by 2 security systems? I mean the security cameras and the ID card reader. I reckon even a cowpoke like you knows about those. Yes, well, what about the fingerprint-activated locks on the evidence lockers? Fingerprint-activated locks? What kind of newfangled doohickeys are those? He's not being very helpful. Imagine you had one, and you don't even know they exist. In fact, if I'm remembering right, we actually found his fingerprint on one of the lockers. He's not that good with machines, or with following orders. Everyone's got their weaknesses now, don't they, Mr. Prosecutor? This one seems like trouble. Okay, Mr. Wright, he's all yours. Yeah, of course he is. Of course he is. Of course he is. Of course he is. Alright. We're just gonna... Okay. But you made your rounds on the day of the crime, right? Ain't you heard a word I said, partner? I told you that ain't my style. I'm afraid I don't understand. No desperado I know lets rules get in his way. No desperados I know join the police force. So, Officer Marshall, on the day of the crime, just between you and me, I didn't set foot in the evidence room that day. There was a rubber glove stuck in the victim's locker. Do you know anything about that? Sorry, partner. Can't say that I do. I haven't been in that crypt in weeks. How does this guy avoid being fired? There is so much going on in every, like, interaction. Okay, let's even just press the first one. I thought this was kind of, like, how exactly did you keep an eye on the evidence room? I just made sure nothing moved in the security camera monitor. That room's so still. Even time dies in there. I was just a caretaker who interred the recordings. You know, someday everything will die. Even words. But not wolves. Wolves are forever. Or something. You interred them? Videos of nothing aren't that useful. When the time would come, I'd erase the tape. If nothing unusual is recorded, tapes are to be erased every 6 hours. Each time I'd erase a tape, it felt like I was erasing a part of my life. This guy has a flair for the dramatic, but it isn't going to do him any good. So there's something actually really interesting going on there with, like, video actually takes a huge amount of space, whether it's tape or digital. 6 hours to, like, assess that there's nothing in the footage and then delete all the footage is a really weird retention scheme, admittedly, but it's not a bad one. So in actuality, you don't physically enter the evidence room. Okay, that... So, 2 systems. You used to be a detective, so you've used the evidence room in the past, correct? Of course. Back in the day, my locker was a gold mine of evidence. And yet, you didn't know about the fingerprint locking mechanism? Sorry, partner. I ain't good with machines. I couldn't even tell you how a bike works. That's quite, incredible. The sensors on the locker handles cannot be seen. It's well known that some detectives are unaware of their presence. Now that he mentions it, Detective Gumshoe said something like that too. At any rate, it doesn't seem that this is relevant to the crime. Can you tell us what you were doing when the crime took place? Okay, out for a drink. What were you doing in a place like that? I was eating spaghetti. Not even Angel's steak lunches can beat that parlor's Vongoli sepia pasta. Hang on, I gotta redo that one. Not even Angel's steak lunches can beat that parlor's Vangol sepia pasta. Gotta butcher it, just a little bit. Do you mean to tell us you abandoned your police duties to eat some noodles? Not all desperados eat tacos, partner. That's right. That's right. Not all desperados eat tacos. That's not what I meant. I hope this has at least taught you a lesson. That's strange. This is usually where Edgeworth says, "Did you not want a raise this year?" I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail. Hold it. Out of ammo, Officer Marshall. That's right, partner, or as you'd call it, evidence. If you plan to pin me to this crime, then you'd better draw. Otherwise, you're just wasting my time. My steel horse is waiting to carry me back west into the sunset. One thing seems clear. Despite being responsible for guarding the evidence room, the witness doesn't appear to have seen anything. Also, I want to meet this steel horsey. Texans don't take orders from everyone. Or, Texans don't take orders from anyone. Everyone knows that. No, they probably should. Apparently your superiors don't. Okay, I have a trump card up my sleeve, so I'd best keep my cool. Before I use it, though, I'd better up the ante. Poker. Phoenix Wright playing Balatro 20 years before it was cool. Okay. So... what was my evidence here? So I think we had established that Bruce was not in possession of his ID. Wait a minute. Did I... So this was Bruce's ID. I don't think the game is going to let me do this. No. Okay. I was hoping maybe I could fingerprint the ID. So the scene was here. What do we have here? Because I think the fingerprint that we found there was his. Room's protected by his 2 security systems. Okay, so I think this is the statement that I'm going to draw issue with. I'm just double checking that I'm not missing anything else. Okay. Alright, so I think that's what we're doing. Which is... Where's my evidence here? There we go. There's the handprint. Yeah, there we go. The music stopped. That means it's right. Officer Marshall, doesn't it strike you as odd? That is, you being called in to testify like this? After all, you weren't in the security room at the time of the crime. And yet you dragged me down here. Explain yourself, partner. I like how he didn't question it until now. It's quite simple. You left a very large trail behind at the scene. A very large, unhappy trail, partner. Or, to be exact, a handprint. Listen real good, partner. Like I said, I'm the caretaker of that crypt. I pay my respects. That is, I make my rounds about once a month. It's only natural my fingerprints would be in there. I only wish it were, officer. But you see, your fingerprints were covered in blood. Witness, what's the meaning of this? This thing that you've just been accused of. Your blood-stained fingerprints were at the crime scene. The blood was wiped away, however. A luminol test clearly revealed this. Well, Officer Marshall? It seems to me there ain't a person in this room with a head on his shoulders. I take it you have an explanation then, Officer Marshall. About the blood-stained fingerprints. Very well, you may begin your testimony about your fingerprints, found at the scene of the crime. Alright. Yeah, I'm curious what his justification for literally being caught red-handed is. Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in that evidence room. One of them just happened to be at the same place as a blood-stained handprint. The murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. The bloodstain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated. Or didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? See, I had nothing to do with it. The witness's explanation appears valid, although there's room for doubt. Life wouldn't be fun without any doubt, partner. That's not a good thing to say in your self-defense, man. That's not a good thing to say. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. This guy's hiding something. I can feel it. One thing I do think is interesting is that the judge commented that the witness's testimony is valid. There's something in logic. There's like true and valid statements of logic. You can have a statement that is true factually, but does not follow logically. And you can have statements that follow logically but are not true. Very interesting line of dialogue that may or may not be thinking that hard about it, but now's my chance to prove it. We're gonna get in there. We're gonna tear this one apart here. Okay, so it's only natural. I don't know that it is. That's because you, how did you put it? Pay your respects once a month? Yeah, that's right. And one more thing. That locker happens to be mine. What? What do you mean? I mean, I meant what I said. That's the locker I used when I was a detective. The locker I still use. All that's in there now, though, is a heap of broken dreams. I see. Ah, yes, why cold food in the hot food in the cold oven? Why do they call it an oven when you hot the cold food out the eat? I see. It'd be strange if my prints weren't all over that locker. Apparently, his fingerprint data was never removed from that locker's programming. He must have been using the fingerprint lock all this time without ever knowing it. I'm inclined to believe he does know, and he's just full of shit. So then, what about the bloody handprint? It wasn't mine. It's no mystery. Please explain. My locker is covered with my fingerprints. It just so happened. The murderer touched my locker where the fingerprint was by chance. The chances of that happening are 1,000,000 to 1. On the contrary, one could argue just the opposite. The chances of that not happening are 1,000,000 to 1. Get one thing straight, partner. You ain't gonna get no reward for me with a mere fingerprint. You wanna know why? They're completely unrelated. Unrelated? They're as different as night and day. Kinda like cereal and cereal. One's got to do with breakfast, while the other's a type of murder. He's right. Although seemingly alike, they're totally different. I don't see what homonyms have to do with this. There's also, like, that's not really what cereal means. Yes, it's a type of murder, but, like, cereal, the breakfast is just a type of grain. By that logic, it has something to do with dinner, too. The words don't just mean what you say they mean. Muffler and muffler. Oh no, it's all homonyms here. Okay, well, didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? Hold it. How do you know that? I may be a loner, but I still do my job. I keep up on the reports. There was a blood stain at the scene, thought to be left by the murderer. That's right. It was found on Detective Gumshoe's locker. However, no fingerprints were detected on that handprint. Oh yeah, I think we tried that too. So that would mean the murderer, wearing gloves, happened to place their hand on top of Officer Marshall's fingerprint. That's the only logical conclusion. Are you starting to get the picture, partner? The picture? The seal of blood. In the desert, it's just food for the buzzards. There's only one reality, and that's this. The security tape. So long as my trail isn't in there, you can't say otherwise. Oh no, I gotta watch the video now, don't I? This isn't getting us anywhere, Mr. Wright. Please consider carefully where you're going with this cross-examination. Yes, Your Honor. Now then, can you continue your testimony, Officer Marshall? I rode through the court on an attorney with no name? Boy, making our America references today, huh? Too bad it wasn't me in that video, right? What do you mean by that? You want to tie me to this crime, isn't that right, partner? If so, that video is the only direct evidence you have. Objection! I have many evidence! But that video is next to useless. It's full of blind spots. Blind spots? Places you can't see. The camera's panning back and forth. The floor isn't shown. If someone was familiar with the camera's position, they could leave the room without being caught on tape. We don't have time for your speculations, Mr. Wright. Well, Mr. Wright, if you show us evidence in this video that indicates Officer Marshall was president, please do so now. I can, unfortunately. Very well. I'll just have to use the one piece of evidence that you guys said I'm allowed to use, even though I have several pieces of evidence. Allow me to point out your mistake, Officer Marshall. Tread carefully, Mr. Wright, or you might wind up being the one making the mistake. So I've been catching this, like, in the last couple times that we've watched the video. At least I think I have. So this should go pretty quick. Now then, let's have another look at that video. Show us this incriminating evidence of the witness, Officer Jake Marshall. Yep. Okay. So, chat, if you'll notice, Marshall's locker, right here, does not have anything going on. It's just kind of there. Which is pretty good, right? That's, as you would expect if things were as he says. But, person enters, who we believe is Brian Goodman, opens Brian Goodman's locker. Gets attacked/attacks good old Meekins here. And then, if you notice, bam! There's a scrap of cloth hanging out. Bringing our attention back to the security camera is a mistake. I'm afraid you'll soon not forget, Officer Marshall. And I like the shock there, Potato. I too am impressed that I caught this. I actually caught it last stream. I saw it out of the corner of my eye, but I wasn't sure if I was gaslighting myself, and we didn't have to watch the video again. So I was like, I'll just sit on this information. But yeah. That's been stewing in my brain for a week. The days are short in Texas, and so are our tempers. Could you sum up what you have to say in 8 words or less? Very well. You can clearly be seen in this video. You think I have to watch it one more time? Well, that's okay. That's okay. I can handle it. Exactly 8 words. Not bad, partner. The key lies in a certain locker shown in the video. The locker with the white cloth sticking out. That was the witnesses, I believe. Now then, let's rewind the video a bit. Okay, you're not rewinding, you're going forward. Oh no, you're rewinding it in real time. This is pain. I am in pain, but I am dancing to the groovy music. Oh, the white cloth, it's gone. What's the meaning of this, Officer Marshall? When the crime took place, the white cloth wasn't there. Then it suddenly appeared. There's only one explanation. Officer Marshall, you were in the evidence room at the time of the crime. What's more, you opened your locker when the camera was turned away. He wears spurs, too. Hold your horses. Sorry, partner, but you got the wrong man. Ah, yes. Special time reversal objection move. Real time rewind. So what if my locker was opened? That doesn't mean I'm the one who opened it. The murderer needed to hide something, so he opened a locker and stuck it in. It's not my fault he happened to choose mine. Why is everyone staring at me like I'm a wanted man? This guy isn't just playing dumb. He really doesn't know. I hate to rain on your parade, but you're the only person who can open that particular locker. Oh yeah? I'll call your bluff. You say I opened that locker. Now prove it. Why do I have to prove it to him? A fingerprint sensor? We talked about this earlier today. In fact, we were just asking you about it like 2-3 minutes ago. The lockers can only be opened by the detectives they belong to. What kind of crazy talk is this? Well, Detective Gumshoe did mention something about this. In any case, the locks aren't that obvious. There are even some people on the force that don't know about the fingerprint locks. This game is so ridiculous sometimes. Honestly, I don't think it's that ridiculous. I think there's a lot of people who don't really understand how some of these things work. In the interest of not completely doxing myself in my job, I've worked a number of jobs where I've been responsible for, like, controlled access, various, like, card key systems, too. And a lot of people don't realize that, like, in most cases, that sort of, like, controlled access is not even something that is, like, completely digital. It's almost entirely tied to the physical card. Like, on certain older pieces of tech, it's like barcode-based, like a hotel card key. But most newer versions of it are basically using a copper core that has, you know, it basically gives off a signature of what its ID is. And so you basically just tell the system, actually, this ID is this person. And sometimes people think that you can know one just because you know the other, but really only the system needs to know one piece of information, and people only need to know one piece of information. So there's an interesting overlap in information unless you have, like, administrator access. So it does not surprise me that a person who's told, this is your locker, open it, might not understand, like, oh, it's actually reading my fingerprint. Because all he would understand is, like, it's not opening while I'm wearing this glove. Let me take off the glove and, like, actually, like, use my fingers with their full dexterity. What I'm saying is, Jake Marshall is not very intelligent. But if you need to, like, rationalize that, you just have to remember, like, how much the average person does not know. And then remember that half of them know less than that, because that's how averages work. And then you just get to sit with that for the rest of your life. Like, there are ridiculous parts here. This is actually the most logical case we've done, which is why it feels like I'm just zooming through it and not making as many mistakes. Because this is real-world logic. This is deductive reasoning so far. So, Sheriff, what do you have to say in 8 words or less? If you don't deliver your testimony in 8 words or less, it's free. Wait, no, I've got it. If you can't deliver your testimony in 8 words or less, you're not free to leave. The bailiff will detain you. Or something like that. Oh my gosh, he's chewing on something. Oh, is that jerky? I only got 1 word for you, partner. No! Did you know? No is no in English and Espanol. Order. Witness, explain yourself. What was that? It was a catchy, like a zinger, like I got him. All right, it was an attempt at one. I'm judging by the physical pain that I seem to have. Oh yeah, he was acting like he got shot through the heart. Yeah, he was having a very dramatic moment. If this is a joke, it's the worst I've ever heard. I assure you, this is no joke, Officer Marshall. Also, for real, why is his, like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble, like, portrait him eating jerky? Now then, please tell us what you were doing in the evidence room at the time of the crime. Why do we need... Why do we need to ask him that so he could chew on his jerky? We just saw on tape that he, was disguised as another detective, tampering with an evidence locker on the day that they transfer evidence. There's no reason to ask him. He was impersonating another police officer. Olay, please answer the question. I don't think you know what Olay means, Judge. That's not what Olay means. What is he now? A bullfighter? That's all right, Officer Marshall. I believe we can figure the rest out from here. We can? Have a look at these floor plans. Yep, okay. There was no place for someone to hide in the evidence room. Yet Officer Meekins didn't see Officer Marshall. If that's so, then where was the witness? It seems Mr. Wright has an answer. That's right. The only possible conclusion. Well then, let's hear it. I just needed to bang my gavel, because I hadn't banged it in a while. Where was Officer Marshall at the time of the crime? Okay. Hold up here. So... why are we labeling them as V and K here? Because K... like, victim and killer is what I assume this is referring to. But this would be Meekins. And this would be Marshall. But Marshall was not the victim, he was the assailant, but that's not a killer. And okay, I'm gonna say he was here because he opened the locker. But that's obviously not correct. Oh, there we go. Officer Marshall was standing right here. There? But that's where the victim... Oh, okay. Detective Goodman was. Correct. Unless the man wasn't Detective Goodman. I believe the victim in the video is Officer Marshall. Well, you see, partner? Officer Marshall and Goodman are the same person. Think about it. Have you ever seen both of us in the same room at the same time? It was you, dressed up like Detective Goodman. But that's preposterous. Officer Meekins witnessed the detective at the crime scene. Also, this can't be the solution to 3 of all of the cases that you've ever tried, Wright. That's ridiculous. Officer Meekins witnessed the detective at the scene of the crime. Once he saw the man's face, he'd know for sure. May I point out, though, that Officer Meekins did not know Detective Goodman. He also testified about the man's reaction when confronted. When I entered the evidence room, I asked him to show his cards, sir. Yes, and how did Detective Goodman respond? He suddenly pulled a knife on me! Something about the officer's story puzzled me. If the man had his ID card, why didn't he just show it? Yes, he would have needed it to enter the evidence room, so he must have been carrying it. The answer is simple. He couldn't show it. As you can see, Detective Goodman's picture is on his ID card. Oh, I get it. It's not a good picture. It's not very flattering. If he showed that, his cover would have been blown. Oh. Officer Meekins would have realized the man wasn't Detective Goodman. Do you have anything to say to this, Officer Marshall? In 8 words or less, please. You've got quite an imagination, partner. You've got a term for that. It's called circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence? He's still denying it. You're gonna have to do better than that to break it, Detective. How did we get Meekins back in here? Unless you have hard evidence I dressed up as the victim. I can't say I particularly care for your uncooperative disposition. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. No, you are complaining. This is the second time you brought it up. Well, Mr. Wright, do you have any evidence proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that my beard is awesome? Well, Mr. Wright, do you have any evidence proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that Officer Marshall dressed up as the victim? Well? Who am I kidding? I don't have anything like that. I can see the fear in your eyes, partner. Seems you're the one who couldn't take the desert heat. It's time for you to make like a saguaro and get out of here. This can't be happening. It's so obvious he's the one. What can I do? You can fingerprint the ID card. It looks like your lack of experience has finally been exposed. Huh? I'll pass on to you what someone told me when I was just starting out. When you run into a wall with no place to go, return to the basics. The basics? For me, that would be what Mia used to tell me. Phoenix, try thinking outside the box. I shouldn't look for proof that Officer Marshall was in disguise. But rather I should look for evidence that came about because he was in disguise. Why do you think this locker was opened in the first place? What do you mean? There's no reason for Officer Marshall to open his locker at the time of the crime. Yet he did, despite the chance it might be discovered later as it has been. Which means he didn't originally plan to open his locker. According to the defense's argument, Officer Jake Marshall dressed up as Detective Goodman at the scene of the crime, at the time of the crime. Then, after the crime was committed, he opened his own locker for some unknown reason. The fact that a white cloth is sticking out of the locker seems to indicate that He opened it in order to put the cloth inside. So, just what exactly is this piece of cloth? Once again, Edgeworth is proving something that Phoenix could not put together. Perhaps the video is the key to all our unanswered questions. I don't have any evidence, so this video's my only shot. We're gonna watch it again. It's my favorite movie, chat. Very well. Let's take yet another look at the security tape. After committing the crime, the witness opened the locker to put away the white cloth. Please show us why the witness had to open the locker. Okay. So he opens the locker, the glove falls out. Meekins comes in, and he attacks him with the knife. Meekins defends, and I think this is the part where he, like, slips past. Oh no, he was just, like, invisible during that segment. Jeez, what a ninja. Oh no, I don't see anything. What? Oh no. Okay, so why would he have to open the locker? Boy, we just do not... Is it because of Meekins? Gotta be, right? Gotta be. Okay. I'm gonna just, say that? Well, what do you have to say to that? Alright, partner. You really want to know the reason I had to open my locker? Why? What? Wait, we're not Really? Really? We're not even gonna talk about it? We're just gonna, like, yep, that was it. Carry on. I mean, obviously it was because he got witnessed, but why? So I could stuff you in there. Huh? I'm sure the world would be a better place with you sent off to the boneyard. Unfortunately, unsolved cases can't be stored in the evidence room. Now I'm an unsolved case? Oh no, that was not it. Okay. Something went wrong. Okay. Do I know what the white cloth was? I guess I have a theory, which is that it's Goodman's coat. I guess I just assumed that the attack itself was the reason why, but it must be the blood on the coat. Because walking out of a police station with blood on your coat is, not a good look. Okay. There? For some reason, you disguised yourself as Detective Goodman and entered the evidence room, though I don't know to what end, yet. However, something unexpected happened. Officer Meekins barged in on you. When asked to show your ID card, you pulled a knife on him. However, Officer Meekins panicked, and the white coat you were wearing was soiled with blood. A bloody white coat. You couldn't just walk out like that, so you hid the coat in your locker. That's huge, brain. See, I'm torn because, like, I had the right idea, I just had the wrong specific detail. It's very interesting to me, like, sometimes how accurate I can get things just on a whim. And then also, like, sometimes, like, I can just completely miss things for a long period. Not bad, partner. The bigliest? I do have the bigliest of brains. It's so big sometimes it constricts itself. Now then, Officer Marshall, are you ready to tell us the truth? Looks like I underestimated y'all. I hope you're happy now, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, if you were only half as persistent then as you are today, we all wouldn't have to be here now would we? Officer Marshall, tell the court what you did, all of it. All right. Seems the time has come. Time to unleash these skeletons I've kept in these closets all these years. Marshall's confession. I had to do it that day. I couldn't just stand by and let it die. I stole the detective's ID and dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out and managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on the camera. There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. Okay. So the supposed victim was really you. But there's one thing I still don't understand. Traces of a large quantity of blood were found on the floor in the evidence room. If no one was murdered, then how could that be? Officer Meekins managed to cut his own hand. My guess is he's the donor. It was way too much blood for such a small donation. I don't know, like, hands bleed pretty good. Okay. So... Alright. I'm gonna press that, because I think that might give us more. Why did you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman? If I didn't make it look like Goodman was carrying out the evidence transferal, I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me anywhere. So you did it to fool the security camera. And the detective's ID card? I stole that the morning of the incident. So that really was why Goodman started filling out that lost item report. I returned his ID card. I left it on the floor in the prosecutor's office parking lot. The ID card I found was left there by Officer Marshall. It was planted as evidence. So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight. What do you mean, partner? I mean the fingerprint-activated lock, of course. No matter how well you disguise yourself, you can't change your fingerprints. Under normal circumstances, you wouldn't have been able to open that locker yourself. But he could just because a rubber glove just happened to get stuck in the door. It means Detective Goodman must have opened the locker before Officer Marshall. Okay, let's see, I want to know more about this. So you did your research beforehand. Those who go in the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. I didn't think it would make a difference, though. The security tape is erased every 6 hours. If all had gone as planned, no footage would have been left. However, you bloodied your coat in your struggle with Officer Meekins. If someone was in the security room when I came out, the jig would have been up. I opened my locker and stashed it in there. What was Officer Meekins doing during that time? What else? He was sleeping like a baby. So what you're saying is, on that day, there wasn't any murder. But the blood found at the scene certainly indicates a crime took place. What are you, blind? The victim shown on the tape is me, and I'm not dead yet, partner. So you stole the evidence from the locker. Actually, no, I didn't. Why not? When I opened the locker, the evidence was already gone. What? Mr. Edgeworth, where is that evidence? It's still missing, Your Honor. Okay. Detective Goodman's locker was already empty. Someone else stole the evidence. I had a feeling we'd wind up here sooner or later. Everyone involved here is related in some way to that case. I'd better take another look at all the files. Okay, so... the only possible answer, then, is... wait. So whoever entered at 4:20 p.m. with that, like, very fake-looking ID number. Okay. When you say it, you mean... do you even have to ask, partner? The SL9 incident. 2 years have passed since that case was closed, which was going to completely end with the transferal that day. Not if I have anything to do with it. That incident's not over. What did you hope to accomplish? But what did you hope to accomplish by sneaking into the evidence room? When a case is closed, only that case's lead detective can look through the evidence. I wanted to have a look at it myself one more time, no matter what the cost. I don't care what anyone says, partner. That case is mine. But Officer Marshall wasn't in charge of that investigation. Why does he care so much? Okay, that was his last chance. Weren't expecting it, so you knocked him out. You pulled a knife on Officer Meekins and tried to drive him off? Let's just say I was a little surprised. I only planned on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually come in during that short time. Officer Meekins certainly is a 1 in a million type of person. Just hear a megaphone in the distance. Thank you, Your Honor! Mistaking a detective for an intruder and demanding to be shown his ID. I'll have to think a little more about his raise this year. When did Edgeworth get so much influence? Anyway, he threw himself at me and I ended up cutting him slightly. I'm sorry it had to turn out that way, with me knocking him out and everything. By the way, what happened to your knife? Oh, you mean this one? I don't know what to say. So you knocked out Officer Meekins and... Officer Marshall, may I ask you one thing? Fire away, partner. It's a free country. Just remember, I'm also free to decide whether or not to answer. Why did you do this? Stealing a detective's ID? Injuring a police officer? This is no small offense. You could do time. So why did you do the crime? Moreover, you're an officer yourself. This will have serious consequences. It can't just be forgiven with a simple cut in salary. Not the salary cuts are ever a valid solution. Like I said, this isn't your case. This one is mine. And I'll do anything it takes to get an answer I'm satisfied with. Comprende? The witness has an unusual amount of zeal. Let's hear more. I can't just forget the SL9 incident. You know why? That case was solved 2 years ago, wasn't it? That's the reason the evidence was stored in the evidence room. Joe Dock was convicted for his crimes. One thing I can say for sure is he deserved his sentence. I remember the Joe Dock case. It involved serial murders, didn't it? I don't intend to complain about how it turned out, but there's something that still bothers me. Something went down at that trial. Something no one will talk about. What happened? I don't know. That's why I'm trying to find out. Then how do you know something went down? Why is he so concerned with that incident? Maybe I should present him with what I think his real reason is. Okay. So the real reason, then... I do think it is related to these files. But... that's a little circumstantial to think that it's because of... Yeah, I'll take a hint, Potato. This one seems like it's a little dicey. It is in the files? Okay. Okay, so I will present the file here. I'm gonna read it one more time. So, perpetrator, Joe Dark, crime, serial murder, sentence, death. Victims, Edward... Oh, Neil Marshall. Right, that must be someone close to him. Objection! Objection! I'm not actually objecting, I'm answering your question, but... Objection! Officer Marshall, I think I understand. I think I know why you care so much about the SL9 incident. Sounds like you've been sipping too much cactus juice, partner. I have the SL9 incident file here. The name Marshall is mentioned in here. That's right. Not just yours, in a list of murder victims. Neil Marshall, are you related to this man? Neil Marshall. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard the name. 2 years ago. Whoa. He received the same lousy prosecutor award you got. What? A prosecutor? He must be talking about the King of Prosecutors award. Now I remember. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He handled the SL9 case before I did. That's right. He was killed. And the case fell into your hands. But what's his relation to you? He was my brother. Mi hermano. My partner. But more than that, he was my amigo. He was investigating the murders of Damon Gant, the then deputy chief of police. The group of detectives I was part of worked under him. We were desperate to prosecute the killer. Joe Dark. My brother fought Dark and was killed. That was the first time Dark left behind any evidence. That was all we needed. He was arraigned and incarcerated. And the case was finally closed. At least according to the public records. What do you mean? My brother couldn't have been killed by Joe Dark. I knew my brother better than anyone. No one could have beaten him in a fight. He was king of the tussle, an expert bull wrangler, a Texan through and through. He would have roundhouse kicked him in the face like a proper Texas Ranger. And that's it? That's your reason for your insane actions? There's more to my brother's death than what the records say. No matter how much you try to hide it, you can't fool me. That's right, Kiki. Texans don't lose a fight. Well, at least one thing's for certain. Now we know what happened at the police department on the day of the crime. That was the last day the SL9 case could be reopened. Not satisfied with its resolution, Officer Marshall planned to steal the evidence. Disguising himself as Detective Goodman, he entered the evidence room. Officer Meekins confronted him, so he rendered him unconscious and fled. Yes, this mystery has finally been cleared up. No murder took place at the police department that day. The things that happen by chance never cease to amaze. At exactly the same time as the murder at the prosecutor's office, this fake murder was going on at the police department. Chance. It's got to be more than just that. So if no one was murdered at the police department on the day of the crime, that means the murder in the prosecutor's office parking lot was the real one. Which, in turn, means only one person could have committed the crime. Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye. Objection! But wait! A verdict wasn't reached in yesterday's trial! Which is why we examined the incident at the police department today. But there's only one reason the defendant was not convicted yesterday. There yet remained the mystery of the simultaneous murder at the police department. Seems to me, this boy's got the draw on you, partner. All of the mysteries of the police department have been resolved, no doubt about it. Our sole murder took place at the prosecutor's office. The only suspect is Lana Skye. And the testimony of Ms. Angel Starr is completely incontestable. Why is Marshall still out there? Because he's still witnessing. He's witnessing. He is awaited on the dusty trails of Valhalla. Dusty and chrome. If you have a response, make it a single word or less. I've got your single word right here. Arg, I guess. Arg. I rest my case. It seems this trial has reached its conclusion. There's no room for doubt. Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I didn't need to waste my time disproving the alleged murder at the police station. Or police department. There's no doubt what I proved today is true. The apparent murder on the security camera's tape really was fake. But I didn't realize that would end up proving Lana guilty. Except it doesn't. Because because, so we still have the other person who entered the evidence room, who took the evidence that Marshall was looking for, which I'm guessing could have been the missing pottery shard? I don't know. Now then, the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant. Please let me object. Hold it! No, wait. Hold it! Your Honor, wait. Emma, the defense has an objection. A scientific objection. Right? Well, what do you mean, right? Mr. Wright, are you this girl's guardian? Your Honor? Oh, in a sense. Please, Your Honor, all I'm asking for is a minute of your time. Please hear me out. I'm going to tell you about today's great new product. No. Mr. Edgeworth, please. I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3. Oh no, this has big 15-minute energy. I was kind of in shock. I mean, finding out the SL9 incident referring to the Joe Dark killings. Now that she mentions it, the names of both Sky Sisters were in that file. That's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day. So I knew his fingerprint had nothing to do with the crime. That left only one thing. The other handprint. You mean the traces of blood found on Detective Gumshoe's locker? But no fingerprints were found on it, right? No, but I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'd be sure to find a clue. So I ran over there and looked at it again. So, did you find something? No. Huh? Sorry, I guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all. Is that all? Please don't be mad. I'm just a high school student. I'm just an attorney. But Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clue we have. If we can't find something wrong with them... Please, Mr. Wright, you're a professional. If anyone can save Lana, it's you. Me? Oh boy! Time's up. Now then, Mr. Wright. With regard to the incident at the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain? Because the defense is troubled by the other blood mark. Looking at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered around here. Is there a problem with this? Mr. Wright, I'm sorry I can't be of more use, but still, if you can't find anything wrong with the blood mark, Lana will be... Please answer my question, Mr. Wright. We don't have all day. Yes, Your Honor. If I've ever needed to concentrate, it's now. Oh no, there have been many other times in my life I've needed to concentrate way harder. Time to look at the video again. Oh, interesting. So we can't see if anything happened to that locker. Yeah, you're right, Potato. What could be wrong with that handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker? Could there be something I'm missing? Yep. We don't know how it got there. We can't see it. This handprint left at the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction. The only thing that seems clear is your grasping, Mr. Wright. You've been staring pretty intently at those floor plans. Tell me, is there a problem with them? Yes, this is strange. Take a good look at these. Look at this floor plan. Every time I do, I flan. I don't know. Something is missing. Missing? You mean something hasn't been drawn on there? Yes, something that, when drawn, will completely change the meaning of the blood mark. Let us pray the defense isn't simply trying to buy time. Very well, Mr. Wright. With all this evidence here, there's gotta be something I can use. The question is, which item can prove something is missing on the floor plans? Oh, no. Okay. The sad part is, I think the videotape has to be the only thing that can. And it pains me so. Anything else? We have the blood. We have the 2 handprints. We have that. And there's AI 16. I'm just trying to do anything to avoid going there. It could be the shoe, but that doesn't seem to quite match. Yeah, I think it's got to be show that Jigglypuff has seen from above. It's because I'm an attorney. All right. As they say back west, even a blind man can hit with buckshot. That is, so long as he's facing in the general direction. Oh, nope, that was not it. Just calm down, Mr. Wright. Try and remember what the evidence room was like on the day of the crime. Oh. At least they're giving me time. Is it him? Yep, there we go. What about that piece of plywood? The Blue Badger, mascot of the police force. Defender of truth, guardian of proof. Hey, that's me. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright. Please look at the floor plans of the crime scene. The Blue Badger is not here. So watch what happens when we put him in. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. Well, what? That's right. So long as the Blue Badger is dancing here, it would be impossible to place a handprint at this spot on the locker. What? Oh, she's off the witness stand. She's now on my side. So that means, just what exactly does that mean? It means it can't be done. What are you saying? Blood traces were undeniably found on that locker. It was done, but it can't be, Your Honor. It just can't be. No. 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 Don't look at me. I didn't put it there. Mr. Wright, think through it scientifically. Emma, on that afternoon, Officer Meekins was the one who brought the Blue Badger to the evidence room, right? After he put it down, it would be impossible to leave a handprint on that locker. So that must mean this blood mark was left there before the Blue Badger was brought in. Just one moment, I will not allow such far-fetched balderdash in my courtroom. It may sound far-fetched, Your Honor, but it's the only possible explanation. On February 21st in the police department's evidence room, blood was spilled not once, but twice. But how? One time was captured on this tape taken by the security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand, from which a trivial amount of blood fell. The problem is the other time. The lore on this is all kinds of jank, though. Someone bled prior to the struggle shown on this tape. It had to have been... Detective Goodman, when he was really murdered. Objection. That's ridiculous. I refuse to accept your absurd claim. This is the victory music. The murder portrayed in the security tape has been proven to be a fake. However, that does not explain the blood mark found on this locker. If the hand does not blood stain, you must abstain from a guilty verdict. I'm with it with the taglines today. So then, assuming this murder you purport really happened, when did it take place? I demand you show evidence that proves when it occurred. When did the first incident occur? Oh my goodness, that is a long for it. I love it so much. That is the best thing I have seen all day. To summarize, the defense claims that prior to Officer Meekins, who was cut by Jake Marshall, who was posing as Detective Goodman, another incident took place in that evidence room. That's right, the blood mark on the locker proves this. Very well, then tell us, when did this first incident occur? As Mr. Edgeworth said, proof must be presented. Proof that shows when the murder took place. There's only one piece of evidence that can show that. Now then, will the defense please present its evidence that shows when the first crime took place? Oh, such dramatic music. I think it's this, though, because if the crime took place inside the evidence room, then the killer would have had to enter it. And in order to do so, an ID card would have been required. An ID card? Oh, the ID card record. I understand why you presented that evidence now. Officer Meekins brought the Blue Badger into the evidence room at, let's see here, 4:50 p.m. Oh, if the crime took place before that time, then it would be 4:40 p.m. Ah! Miles Edgeworth, just what have you done? I never would have figured you had the nerve, boy. Drop the act, witness. It doesn't take a lot of thought to figure it out. It couldn't have been me. Nope, I ain't getting it. I'm afraid I don't understand either. It's clear from the luminol test that blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood. That means the blood from the first crime was wiped away by the real murderer. He would have had just 10 minutes to murder the victim, carry his body away, and clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible. That would mean the crime must have taken place before Edgeworth entered the evidence room. Let's look at the chart again. There's only one other card number remaining. 777-7777. Talk about a lucky number. But wait, that doesn't make sense. How could Detective Goodman have entered the evidence room? Since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murderer. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with 777-7777. Mr. Edgeworth, please look into this ASAP. Find out whose ID number is 777-777777. Your head hurts from trying to follow this? That's 17 too many, Your Honor. The good news is, it's actually plainly obvious to me that, largely this is just an evidence to prove that, something fishy happened at the SL9 incident. So I'm guessing that Angel Star has something to do with this, or Lana Skye herself. Okay, you want me to say 7 one more time? 777-7777, pal! Fortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of that ID card. At least at present. What? Explain yourself, son. ID number 777-7777 belongs to someone with a rank of captain or higher. Someone who is a so-called executive officer. We don't have the authority to inquire into such a person's identity. Objection! But that's ridiculous. Just how? I'm not finished talking, Mr. Wright. There is one situation in which we can be granted such authority. If an official charge filed against an executive is accepted. An official charge? You're all alike, aren't you? Your cover-ups and your forgeries. That's how the prosecutor's office operates. Also, I kind of slept on it. I don't know if they added him to the record or not, but his brother also was a cowboy type, and that's just wild to me. I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I would appreciate it if you would keep your slander to yourself. Slander, is it? Okay. Let me ask a question. Is this not a visual novel? Does that not actually make this in writing? Therefore, it's libel? Yes? No, not you. To her, the defendant sitting over there. Your own little executive. Lana. Don't be stupid. She's been charged with murder. Of course we've looked up her ID number. And it's not the Sevens. Don't play me for a fool, partner. That's not what I want to ask. All I want to know is one thing about that incident. The SL9 incident. Answer me this, Chief Prospector. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence? Dramatique. Do you need the witness to repeat his question, Chief Prosecutor? Give me just one moment to clear my throat. I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for that trial. At that time, occasionally, we felt the powerlessness of the law. At least, I did. Well, Lana, I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. But before I realized it, we were the ones being suppressed by the law. Defendant, just what are you saying? I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. We're both on the witness stand, we're sharing it, we're buddy-buddy. During that trial, 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? Can you look me, an investigator in that crime, in the eye and say that you did? Chief Prosecutor, you didn't. I don't have to, Officer Marshall. Why won't you answer him? Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to, in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. But Lana, even if it involved forging evidence. All these dramatic cutaways in silence. See, that's what I'm talking about. No. No! Order, 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 order! Lana's remarks caused such a stir. The chaos in the courtroom could not be quelled. The conclusion of the trial would have to wait until the following day. To be continued. Right now. Because I'm not done.